Pretty soon after I started quilting, I was introduced to the rotary cutter, and it dramatically changed my entire world. It's changed the quilting industry for almost every quilter that is out there today. Westalee Design, when they designed the ruler foot, they dramatically have changed that way quilters are quilting. Long armers have had rulers for a long time, but our domestic quilters were at a disadvantage. We've never had those amazing products that could advance our skills. I have so many people say that I can't free motion, that I don't know how to do it, that I'm no good at it. Ruler work is not free motion, it's guided motion. I already know where I'm going, and all I have to focus on is just keeping the foot attached to the ruler until I'm at the end of the line. So it's really a big advancement, helping people to make their quilts as beautiful as they want and really changing the level of skill that our domestic quilters are going to see.
Hi, it's Stacy with So Steady, and we are back, and we've got another amazing show for you today. We are going to be launching our brand new Angel Wings template just in time for the holidays. That was our goal, right, Kathy and Donell? Our goal was that we got this to you for the holidays, and I feel like we made it happen. So I'm excited. We've got some awesome classes in line with this as well. We've got some of our best educators that have created some amazing projects for you and just design inspirations to really get excited to incorporate this into your projects in the coming time. So that being said, there is going to be a launch deal. The launch deal is purchase this weekend and you will actually get one of these classes free today with that purchase. So we're going to go ahead and add some more detail to it. I'm going to post a link to that page where you can learn more about these amazing designs and the education that's going to be tied to them. So go ahead and enjoy that. I'm going to let Kathy and Donell talk a little bit about their projects, and then we're going to have Donell take over, and then Kathy will be the next project. We'll be doing a preview of hers, and then finally Helen will come on at 2 o'clock today, and she's got an amazing Christmas-inspired project with the Angel Wings as well. So, ladies, tell us a little bit about what you're going to be sharing today.
Go ahead, Donelle.
Okay. I'm going to be showing you something that I just kind of was needing a space to fill, or a space filled. And it happens to be that I'm not necessarily sharing a project, but more of a technique and telling you how you can line things up. Now, the angel template, it is truly wings. It's not going to make you an angel. It's going to make you wings. And I'll tell you, it took me a while to figure that out, because this looks like a head, and it actually looks like it's coming out and holding some candles or something over here. But that's truly just for holding the piece in. It's like our puzzle piece. So when I turn this over, you can see how it looks like its hands out here. Well, guess what? You can't even get the template into that. So, it is truly just the puzzle piece. So I'm going to be sharing how we can use this to embellish our corners and accent different things that way. And I'm super excited because I have had this finished for I don't know how long. And I have been trying to figure out how I was going to quilt it without trying to pretend I could quilt in all of these areas. So that's what I'm going to be showing you, and how you can get things lined up and all of that. So Kathy, I'm sure you've got something totally different.
Oh, Donell, I do. I'm the one who likes to try and do things the way they aren't supposed to be done. Grew up that way and still doing it in my old age. So what I did was I took it to a whole different level, and I made not just a center motif around it, but I also did a border with it. And this template really lends itself well to borders as well. It's truly a diverse template.
Well, I would agree with that. So I know that you guys out there are going to see why, when you look at a template, if you don't have a clue of what to think about, why we as educators, we just sit down and start playing with our stitching line disc and try and figure out how we can actually implement and use these templates. And of course, we're all separate. So some people find out one thing, and I actually learn from watching other educators and seeing what they've done with it. And it opens my eyes to new things. So I'm ready to share if you're ready for me to get started, Stacy.
Let's do it. All right, I'm going to have you take over here, Donell. So looks like you've got some fun April showers fabric for us to do some wings on.
Exactly. And that's why I said this is one that I had hanging on my sample. I've got a big long cart over there that has 2 rails and it's pretty well filled. And some of the things are just pieces that are waiting on some inspiration. And so when I got this template and started playing with it, I thought, this is what I want to do, because I have a whole year of these 25 by 25 wall hangings. I've only got one finished. I mean, one to this point, and that's this one. But you'll notice that there's extra things over on each side. We've got flowers over here. I've got a great area down here that I'll wait and see what Kathy's doing with borders, because I might be able to use that too. So you can see in this corner the kind of hint of what I'm going to be sharing, how I use those angel wings. So this space is truly empty, as well as every other corner on this. And like I said, I wasn't sure I wanted to try and fill in stuff up here, because it was just like, I'm not a free motioner. So this was going to be kind of difficult. So I'm going to start. This one I have been playing with, and I found a couple of things I did not like. And so that's great, because I'm going to show you why I didn't like them. Because I came down here, started up there, tied my thread nice and neat. And down here, I thought, well, I'll just stitch in the ditch. And because of my thread color, it shows a little bit more than I want. So you can see over here, I've already corrected that. And I've got this one almost corrected. So we're not going to be stitching in any ditch along here. We're simply going to go from one end to, or one side to the other. And I'm going to tie in both of those places. So let's move over here to this next corner. And let's talk a little bit about that template. Now, the angel wings template, I'm going to get something so you can actually see it here. The angel wings template has several, what I'm going to call insides here. So if you wanted to make this just as angel wings, and I can think of a project that I did probably at seriously 20 some years ago that I actually could have used this for, because I made a flat piece that had batting in it, and then I just stitched in it to make it look like it had the wings. So this would have worked perfect for that. I'm on a live. They're over there in the other room. Okay, so I'm going to take this out. Sorry about that, guys. Got a little bit of a cold. And you can see that there's an opening here so that I can put a different one in. So when I stitch this, this looks bigger than 1/4 of an inch, but it actually is 1/4 of an inch in there. So when you go up in there, you're going to come back out this way. And all you have to do is determine where you're going to come to. Give me just a second, Stacy.
Take your time. While you're doing that, I will go ahead and have everybody take a look at the amazing project that we've got here on our So Steady website. You can see that on the screen. So this is a technically a 5-piece set. So what you're going to get is you're going to get that wing template that you see on the screen right there. And then you're going to get these four key gates. And those 4 key gates allow you to create basically different sizes and shapes of wings. So it's technically sold as a 5-piece set, 1 template, and 4 key gates. So it's a pretty unique template, honestly, and it's got the ability to create a lot of new things with it. And I'd say today we're just touching the surface on the opportunities that you can do with this template because there's so much that I think that it has possibilities to do that. I can see more and more education created from this in the future as well. So our special offer today is going to be if you purchase this set for the $35 with the template and the 3 key gates, then you're going to, or the 4 key gates, you're going to get Kathy Clawson's Angel Wings Project class for free with purchase through the weekend. So this is a great opportunity for you to get some awesome education. You're going to get to be able to preview that class today, and then that's going to be coming with your template set if you choose to go ahead and get it. All
Okay.
right, Donell, you back?
I think so.
Okay.
So as you can see, there are holes around here. There are holes in the center here. And then when you put this in, whichever key that you decide you're going to use, you're going to tape that in place. So now we can use, and I want to make sure I pick the right one that matches what I've already done, which I think I did. Yes. Because then you can use your pen, your thumbtack, to hold everything nice and steady. So let's find out where I put my thumbtack when I started my little spell there. There we go. And as you remember, I do not put my thumbtack through my fabric, especially there in that corner. So I'm going to cut my piece of tape, and I'm going to put that right there in the corner. Now I want to make sure that I've got it right in the corner. I do. And that's going to help me hold my template in place. Now I have done a little spray basting, but I also did some pinning so that I would make sure that I had everything held together. And I put an arrow on there so I knew which one I started with. And when you get that lined up like that, you've got a line on your template that's etched. And so you're going to make sure you've got that lined up on both sides. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to get right in that seam. And I'm going to pull up my thread. Put that back down. And on this one, I kind of like to lower it slowly. And I'm going to hold this in place. And we're going to stitch. I kind of like to stop at those places, mainly because if I don't, I seem to get a little bit of an extra buildup of thread right there. So I'm going to raise that needle. I'm going to pull up my thread by pulling it away and coming right back to that spot. Now, I don't know if you noticed or not, but when I do this, I really never let go of my template, so it's not moved at all. I'm going to cut this thread that's moving, the one that's from the bottom, and I'm going to cut my needle thread. And then when I pull that away, I only have my 2 finished threads. Now, I am going to show you how I tie those off for the people who may not have seen that before, because it's really simple. Even if I had 4 threads, I would do it the same way. So I'm going to pull that through the loop. I'm going to take the point and put it right in that seam allowance there. Pull this knot down and stop a little ways above the surface of the fabric. That way my knot is not right on that surface. So when I put that into this was a self-threading needle, I'm going right back in that spot underneath my fabric. And it already pulled through there. I don't know if you saw that or not, but it's already pulled through. I just need to get those tails through. And then I'm just going to pull up and cut. Now, I'm not going to do it to every one, but I wanted you to see how that works. So then I have holes here. So I'm simply going to go to the next hole, line it up, and it doesn't really matter whether I start there or start there. Put that needle back in right where I want it to be, and that's not it. So I'm going to I am so sorry, you guys. And I'm going to pull this up and pull that thread up. And I'm going to line that up perfectly there. Pull away, come back, foot down, needle down. And now I'm not going to tie all these, so I'm just going to make sure I leave them long. Move one more time. Line up. I think this would really work good with the embroidery too, where you actually did some of the embroidery off of the two different ones we have so far, and then you could frame it up.
Oh, that is so cool, Donell. The ability to turn this into a border so easily.
Yeah, and to frame up something that, oops, I almost cut it when I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
The ability to be able to put something out in the outer corners that's not necessarily a design. I mean, it obviously is, but it just kind of acts as a frame also. Now, this last one, if I go to the next hole, you can see what happens here. So I actually am going to take this out and just use the key. And so I'm going to have it so that it's kind of fallen off there. But fortunately, that's not going to matter because this is the same shape. So I'm going to just rotate that a little bit. I'm going to drop my foot, put that needle in, raise up that foot again, and pull up that bobbin thread. Set it back down, get that needle in position. And I'm going to sew to like the middle here. And then I'm just going to rotate it because I never like to sew off of my template. And so you can see just how easily, now of course I've got to go back and tie 8 knots, 7 because I've already done 1. But that's not a big deal either. And like I said, I tried it so it wasn't going to have to do all of that, and I didn't care for it. So I basically just stopped and took out that extra. And you can see here, oops, got to cut this. But just by adding that little bit to my corners, I mean, you could even come in and do another loop there or arc there or something like that. But I will tell you that the other thing that I did as I was working with this was did this so these two things met. So it was obviously not as big, or you could do more coming into it. In other words, we would be more like clear out here, and then this one would come down. But that would spoil where I've got my flower watering can there. So I decided I didn't want to come in that one more time and come into that, but they would have pretty well met there in the center. So that's a way that you can use this. When Stacy first sent it, I thought, what in the world am I going to do with this thing? I don't have a clue. Now I'm super excited because of the fact that I know that when I've got things like this that I really don't want to do much else inside here, then I can still do this. Now I will tell you what I'm planning to do is, just so you can get an idea, because you're thinking, okay, so what are you going to do with the rest of it? Well, I'm going to use my straightaway template, and I am going to put it right on like this, and I'm going to stitch a straight line around in between that. So this is only a 1/2 inch from here to here, and this is only a 1/2 inch, but I think just doing a straight line in there is really going to look nice. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because that's what I'm kind of thinking about on the purple, but on this one, I may use my tiny little scallop, and that would kind of mimic what we have right here. So I could use that scallop because this is only a 1/2 inch and my small scallop is a 1/2 inch tall. So a lot of opportunities. That's usually when I meet someone who has, kind of accomplished all of the things as far, I shouldn't say all of the things, but they're real comfortable with their quilting. The next thing they ask is, how do you know what you're going to do in what space? And so just to give you those couple of ideas of what I would be doing. So that pretty much does it for me. I hope Kathy's ready to take over, and I sure am going to have a lot of uses for this particular template. And I may even be using it tomorrow afternoon when I do the live. So you might want to join there for some more ideas.
Ooh, I love it. Thank you so much.
Yep.
We are going to go ahead and head on over to Kathy. Kathy, I know we're going to be playing a pre-recorded class that you've shared with us today. And so this is just kind of inspiring folks to get going with the new Angel Wings template. And so Kathy also has kind of dove into this a little bit. So Kathy, I was going to share with them this project that we're going to be diving into a little bit today. And you inspired some template quilting in this. It looks like there's some other templates used. You got maybe some curly cues in there along with the Angel Wings template. And so the retail price on this class is $25. With that, we've got of course, the opportunity for you to get this class free this weekend only with the purchase of the templates, guys. So this is a super deal, obviously, because the template says $35. You're going to get this. So we're going to go ahead and again, we'll show a preview of this class. But this is a fun block. I love this. What are you thinking you're going to do with your completed block design that you've finished here?
Well, what I actually did, Stacy, was I stitched out one with the high contrast thread in the design, and then 2 more with a low contrast thread. And I'm putting the 3 of them together into a table runner for my dining room.
Oh, I love it.
And
Okay.
yeah, the fabric lends itself really well to my color theme, if you will, for Christmas.
Yeah.
But now, after I looked at it and I've been working with the Starry Night Revisited, I've got some more ideas on how we could use our coloring pencils in there to make it a little more interesting.
Ooh, that
So,
sounds fun.
yeah,
Okay.
that'll be coming down the road.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. So I will go ahead and head on over to Kathy's kind of preview class that she's recorded for us. And then we're going to have Helen Sullivan on live sharing with us her class at 2 o'clock. So we've just got about a half an hour until we go live there. So let me go ahead and jump into our angel wings preview with Kathy now, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Welcome to my happy place. We're going to start working on our angel wing project today. You've already probably seen this. I'm sure you have. It's been out there for a little bit of time. What we're going to do is we're going to essentially work from the center out. And there's a lot going on in this block. But I wanted a lot going on into the block because I wanted certain things to be featured, and mostly this angel wing template. It is awesome. So here's our angel wings template. It's really a very interesting template. It has holes all the way down the outside perimeter. It has holes down the center line. It also has some holes over here. Haven't figured all of them out yet. I've got to be honest with you. But I've been playing with this, and it really is intriguing. Now, inside these templates, I call them inserts, and there's 4 of them. So what you've got is the first one I dubbed A, and that is the shortest or the smallest. Then we have one that I dubbed B, which is the next largest, and C, which is a little larger yet, and of course D being the largest. The one we're going to use today is insert B. I'm just going to put these over to the side, and what you'll see is I have the insert taped in so it won't come out. And the first thing we're going to do is this area right here. And with this, we are going to use the 4th hole in our tack. Okay? So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be that hole right there will sit down in our tack. We have a straight line directly through the center. We're going to use that. Now, don't worry about these green arrows. Again, it was for some playing around that I did, and we may use them later. So I don't want to remove them right now, but just suffice it to say, don't worry about them right now either. So what I am doing is I am putting my center line on the north, south, east, and west lines. These lines we're not really doing anything with at this point other than starting and stopping. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put my foot down, of course, and then I'm going to put my needle down. I wonder if we can get in a little closer. There we go. And I want to make sure we're well focused. Bring that foot up and bring my bobbin thread up. And why do we do that? I think I've said it once. I've probably said it 100 times. We do that to prevent thread nests. And I also like to take that first stitch in place to prevent toe catcher. So toe catcher is simply one very large stitch that your toe can get caught in. So it's aptly named toe catcher. So here we go. Again, this is on a curve, and when we're doing curves, we want to keep our stitch length shorter. Gives a smoother curve. So you have some options. You can either speed your hands up or slow your stitching down. It's entirely up to you, whichever way you're comfortable doing it. But I think it is important to get that smaller stitch length when we're doing curved lines. Now, the other thing that I want to mention, I think it's worth mentioning, is that even though not all of our lines are going to be curved, we should stay consistent with the size of stitching we are using. So if we have a lot of curved lines in here and we're keeping our stitching a little bit smaller, then we should keep the whole project, the stitching for the whole project, just a little bit smaller. So here we go with the second line, and you'll see I just twisted that template, and it is that easy. Again, I'm on the fourth hole from the bottom. I am using the B insert, which is the second smallest. The first one being pretty much non-existent. It really isn't there. So it just makes it easy to go ahead and stitch into that. So again, I'm going to twist my template. I'm going to line up my center line. I'm going to pull you back. I want to make sure you can see well. And here we go. Remember, the way that this works is if we keep our speed consistent and speed up our hands, our stitches will become smaller. If we slow our hands down, they will become larger. And quite honestly, the machine is going to act the same way. If we speed up our machine, it's going to make smaller stitches. If we slow our machine down, it's going to make bigger stitches. Okay, this will be my last round on this side. It is a very easy template. There are no hard lines or difficult corners or any of that to deal with this template. I would consider this a great beginner's template. And there we go. We have met up with where we began our stitching. I'm going to go ahead and pull my thread out. Again, I'm going to put my thread down and pull my bobbin thread up. Hopefully it'll go better this time. Ah, yes, it did. We're going to pull that up so we have a tail, because what we're going to do is we are going to bury these threads. And what I will do, there we go, is I will go over that briefly. I assume most of you have already seen me do this, but just on the off chance someone new is in the audience, I definitely want you to see how I bury my threads. Here are, well, let's get some of these out of the way. These are my two beginning threads. They've been there the whole time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a simple overhand knot. And there's my loop right here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my needle in that loop, and I'm going to cinch that knot down towards the top of the block. However, I'm not going to cinch it down so that it's on the fabric. I want it approximately 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch away. This one happens to be right here. Here's the fabric, here's the block. Let me see if I can pull that in. Oh, cool, I can really get you in close on this. Okay, so again, there is the knot, and here's the fabric. Now these are the two threads from the end of the round where I pulled the bobbin thread up. I'm going to make a simple overhand knot, and you'll see I have this loop right here, and I'm going to cinch that loop down into a knot as well. And again, not on top of the fabric. We're going to cinch it down about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. Then I'm going to use my self-threading needle. This one has an open top. The threads will just pop in there, just like that. And now what I'll do is I will run that thread through the batting. I will enter by the hole made where the bobbin thread came up. I'll run it through the batting, giving it a little wiggle while I'm doing it. And there you will see my knot. Just give it a pull. Now the knot is gone. Let me show you that again. Again, into the self-threading needle. I'm going to go ahead and put that thread through where the bobbin thread came up. And I'm kind of making, well, I'm not kind of, I am making sure that it's going through the batting. And I'm going to go ahead and pull that knot. And now you'll see that knot is right here. Give it a pull. I'm sure you heard that. Those knots are now buried. And if you look, the back of this ending is as clean as the front. That is the sign of a good quilter. If you prefer to do it another way, that's fine too. That's entirely your choice. Okay, so what we've got here is, I'm going to back us up so we can see it. So what we've got here is our first round. Kind of looks like bunny ears to me. So what we're going to do next is we are going to go up 6 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we are going to repeat. We're going to line our center line. There we go. Okay, so again, I'm going to repeat the exact same steps that I used for the last round of the motif. Pulling my bobbin thread up, holding it so that it doesn't end up in a tangled mess. Lining this part of my template up. And off we go, taking that 1 stitch in place. After a couple stitches, you can let that thread go, which I'm always grateful for because I find it to be kind of cumbersome sometimes. And I like to have it off of there. So again, keeping that smaller stitch length, making sure to take 1 stitch in the corner here, because you are changing directions. Again, 1 stitch. I keep my needle down while I'm changing my hand positions. And we're going to go around. Oops. And we're going to repeat this 3 more times, exactly where we started. And there we have a second round. It looks really nice, doesn't it? Okay, we are back and we are going to now take a look at the border. The border design is simply just the angel wings stitched once forward, once backwards. It can be used as a border, it can be used in sashing, or as I did it in this particular one, it can be used as a frame around a middle motif. This point will be 1.5 inches from this point, and let's see if that's true here, and it is. Beautiful. So we are going to go 1.5 inches. So if you want to mark your 1.5 inch spot, what you can do is come here, place a mark at 1.5 inches there. We're going to come here and we're going to place a mark at 1.5 inches there, and those are our starting and ending points. Okay, so what I'm going to do before I do anything else is I am going to draw my bobbin thread up at my starting point. Okay, there we go. And put my needle in. And now I'm going to move my template forward. And what I am looking for is lining up my center line. Oh, let me get it up here. Lining up, there we go, my center line on the center line. So the center line of the template will be on the center line of my block. And what should happen when we do this is that the long string of circles here are likely going to come right to or right close to the diagonal lines on our block. So let me grab these. I'm going to take my 1 stitch in place, and then we're going to stitch around this motif. There we go. And my foot just jumped. There we go. That should hold it. Beautiful. Now remember, this is also a curve, so we want to...
There are a couple questions that have come in, Kathy, so I wanted to go ahead and address those now because they seemed like they were appropriate to the current moment in this class. So the first question that came in was, what lines did you draw? Looks like a corner and half.
Yeah, it's actually an 8-point crosshair.
Okay.
That's, yeah.
And then the other question that came in was this project basted first?
Yes, I glue based all of my blocks before I start stitching. And I use homemade glue based because of the fact that a lot of glues out there, you have to have a well ventilated area. And I've had bad luck with getting my needle gummed up and stuff. This homemade glue base, though, it does not do any of those things. It doesn't gum up my needle. It's easy to use. It's easy to make. If anybody wants the recipe, I'll be more than happy to give it to them. If they want, yeah, just go to the instructor page and email me. It's awesome. And you know what? It's cheaper. It's so cheap to make, and it's so easy to do.
Excellent. Yeah, we already have a request. I'll try to I'll share your link to your instructor page, and then they can email you from there.
Perfect.
Okay, excellent. Well, we'll head back in. I just wanted to address those questions.
Thank you. Take some smaller stitches here. This is a big template. I have to move my hands several times on this template. And it's been a while since I've mentioned, don't push against the template. You don't want to do that. When you push against the template, the first thing you're doing is making it much harder on yourself. And the second thing that you're doing is taking the possibility of that template moving, and then you have to stitch out all those stitches. Remember, they're tiny stitches that you've put in. You don't want to go there, I'm sure. Okay, so we're coming right to the corner here. And we came out right on that mark that we put in. And now I'm going to move it to the next side. Again, lining everything up. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this side in. And we're going to do this all the way around. Now, I've already got 2 of them finished, and for a really good reason. You want the real reason or the one I want to tell you? And the real reason is I have already filmed this and forgot to turn the microphone on. So last night I picked half of it out and I am refilming it. And that's okay by me. I've had worse things happen in my life. I'm just going to make sure that my 1/4 inch is 1/4 inch. Okay, so now we're going to pretend we've gone around this 4 times. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn it around. And we're going to flip our template over. We're going to line up our straight line here. And what should happen is, let me point this out. Right here is where I'm pointing to. I want to point this out to you, okay? Where'd my little scissors or something go that I can point? Okay, well, regardless. What is going to happen is this point of the ruler will land on that diagonal line. This point of the ruler will land on this diagonal line. And the center of the ruler is going to line up with the center of the block. That's the line. Remember, we had the vertical and horizontal line put in. That's going to line up with one of those. So I'm going to go ahead and pull you just a little bit here. There we go. And now off we go. Okay, I'm just going to move my block a little bit here so that it gets scrunched up and doesn't pull on the side of my table. And here we are making that little shape in the center that I template. And you don't have to template it the same way I did. You can pick any way you wish. This is an artistic project, and it should be made with your special touches to it. Okay, there we're coming right back to that marked point. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? I love it when it works out so well. Now we're going to go ahead and twist our block. You can see, if you look closely, you can actually see where I pulled out the stitches. I don't know if I ever mentioned when we talked about it earlier that someone asked me once, well, because you're making these small stitches, how do you handle a mistake? And I said, well, the same way we always handle a mistake, you pick it out or you do the whole block over again. And I'm not one to waste fabric. So very seldom am I ever going to do the whole block over again. I'm going to pick out those stitches. And the person said, well, isn't that difficult? And yeah, it is. Quite honestly, it's boring too. But it still is part of what we do, and it's okay. You know, I sit downstairs with my husband and my puppies, and we watch TV while I pick out stitches, and it helps me to avoid excessive nighttime eating. So there we go. I end up with a win-win, right? I don't have to use more fabric, and I end up not eating. So that's a good thing. So there we go. We've got the frame in, and we are all ready to put, next we're going to put our piano keys on the inside of the project. Then we're going to put them over here on the outside of the project. They're both done basically the same. The difference being is these are going to be done at 1/4 of an inch, and these are going to be done at 1/2 an inch. Okay, well, I guess it looks better without the light on, doesn't it? Anyway, what we've done is we've gotten ourselves to the corner area. So what I want to do is show you, I'm not exactly at the corner yet, but I am really close to it. Only a couple stitches off. So I have some choices to make here. Do I want to go over to that corner and have a slightly larger gap between these two piano keys, or do I actually want to put 2 in, which I'm not sure how that's going to look all that much either. But you'll see where I had to do it on this particular one. I had just a short space between the two. This is how we want it to look, and ideally it will. This one was the only one that turned out this way. Don't know why. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make those extra stitches and go right to that corner. And I just want to make sure I'm right there. We go. Is that going to matter? It probably won't. So now I'm going to go ahead and make that up and down, just like we've been doing. And come back to the top. So now what I'm going to do, since I'm back at the top, and I have to turn this on for just a minute, I apologize. Now I am exactly right at my 45-degree angle. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to turn it, I am going to put that 45-degree line in. And we're going to go all the way down. And all the way back. Now what I want to do is I want to figure out how much space I've got here. And that's easy to do. I'm just going to grab a ruler here. Doesn't have to be a fancy one, just a ruler. And what you're going to see is from this point to this point is 7/8 of an inch. Make sure you can see that really well. So from this line to this line is 7/8 of an inch. So if we take 7/8 of an inch and we split it in half, what we're going to have is 3.5/8. I know. That's kind of persnickety, isn't it, to go that close? But you know what? We can. So let's do that. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Actually, over. There we go. 3.5/8. I know, right? Crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line up my 12-inch arc. And the way I'm lining it up is there's the mark I put on there. And you'll see that I've lined it up right next to that mark. And my ruler is, my 12-inch arc is lined up there. So now I'm going to bring this line of stitching down here and back up here. Back to the top. Now I'm going to repeat the process here. I'm going to go straight up and down. I'm not going to make that angled one. I want this one to go straight up and down. And what I like to do is find a vantage point that I can use when I'm lining up. So what I've got is I've got a line here that I'm lining up on my halfway point. Let me see if I need you guys to be able to see this right here. Okay, so that's how I know that I'm lined up properly. So I'm going to come down and back up to the point. I'm still on the point, remember. Now we need to measure what we have here. Don't always take it for granted that it's going to be exactly the same, even though this one is. Okay, I didn't plan it that way, it just happened that way. So here we're going to do 3.5/8 of an inch. Okay, it's going to be right there. I'm going to take my spacing gauge, make sure I've got that lined up properly. And we're going to go down to the bottom and back up to the top to that point. And now we're just going to keep going. We're going to travel here until we see our line of stitching peeking out from that ruler foot. And it looks like I'm going to need just one more stitch to do that. Perfect. So now I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep doing the up and down all the way around, 1/4 of an inch. What we have done is we have got all of our 1/4 inch piano keys in here. There we go. And now it's time to put our piano keys down here. These are basically, we're doing the same thing except at 1/2 inch, and we are doing the corners just a little differently. Okay, so what I want to show you, how we're going to do the corners. First, we're going to go ahead. Got it? Okay, good. Just want to check and double check it to make sure that you got a good clear view here. And we're going to go ahead and pull our bobbin thread up in that corner. Now I'm going to use the line that I have drawn here because it's there. Why not use it, right? It makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to go out and come back, and we are going to stitch these the same way as we did our 1/4 inch, where we're going to stitch out towards the edge of the block, and then we're going to stitch back. Now remember, this block is going to be trimmed down quite a bit. So do you have to go all the way out to the edge? No, you don't. And if you would like, I guess I should have shown you this before I started. I'm going to go ahead and take it out and show you anyway. If you would like, what you can do, because we are cutting this at a 16.5, I think it is. Let me just double check. 15.5 inches. So what we can do, just to make sure that we are staying within the parameters of our block, is we can go ahead, and I have a 15.5 inch square ruler here. I'm going to line the center up with the center of my quilt block. And this is nice on this particular ruler. It's clearly marked. And then what I can do is I can just come out here and make a mark around. And that way I know that I am going to come out far enough to make sure that I'm not shortchanging any of those piano keys. So what I did to make this one easier, disregard that other thing there. I went ahead and started in the center on each one. And the reason I did that is because I think it gave me a better outcome and it looked more balanced right to left. And this is what I mean right here. Every one of these looks the same. It has the one line in the center and then it goes off equally on both sides. Does not mean that it's going to line up perfectly in the corner. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. We actually are getting close to the end of our project, but there is just one thing that I wanted to show you. On the outside 1/2 inch piano case, remember how we started at the center and worked our way out? So what I've done to make this a little easier is, of course, I come back to center and we're going to work this way. And the reason I like to do that is because we don't end up with a whole lot of fabric stuffed into our throat space. Now I'm using a vintage Singer 301, so throat space is at a premium with this particular machine. And it really works well. I almost did it wrong there. I am going to start right in the center again. And granted, we do not have to stitch this line because it's already been stitched. So the reason that I am doing this is because I want this line to be consistent all the way around. Remember how we talked about it up here? We stitched out and back over, out, back over. I'm doing the same thing here. I stitch down and back and over, down, back, and over. So I want that little over, like for lack of something better to call it, to actually be the same weight or have the same number of lines stitched on it all the way around. So what I'm going to do is I'm first just going to take my first stitch in place, nice and calm, and then we are going to stitch out to the left, stitch out to the right. I'm sorry. This is my left, this is my right, until we get to 1/2 inch where we want to put our line. So I'm lining my line up on the center line here to make sure that I'm staying nice and straight. I am going to stitch to the outside edge and then I'm going to stitch back and go over. So we go up, down, we're back on our line. Now we're going to go over. Okay, so there we go. Now, again, we're going to go up. And remember that we have kind of small stitches on the majority of this project, and that is because we have so many curves in it. And I just always am under the belief that if we have small stitches in a part, we should have small stitches everywhere. I like to keep the stitch size consistent. Oh, look at that. How great is that? It's perfect. So what you've seen here is the fact that we don't end up with our block all cattywampus in our throat of our machine. So I've got one more to do. Then we're going to come back and we're going to do some templing.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us for that first preview. You did amazing, Kathy. That was awesome. And so, as a reminder, we do have the opportunity if you decide to purchase the Angel Wing sets this weekend, you will have the opportunity to get this class um, for um, for life on our So Study University. So we did share a link to that as well. So you're able to go ahead and check that out and learn a little bit more about it. And we've got one more amazing class for you, and I've got Helen Sullivan here to share that. Kathy, did you have anything else you wanted to share before we jump over to Helen and having her talk a little bit about her
I
project?
just would I would just like to thank everybody for being here today. It's an honor to be able to be here to share my ideas. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Mhm.
Well, we appreciate you. All right. Well, thank you so much. And let's go ahead and we'll bring Helen on now to share with us her new class, and that is the Angel Wings at Christmas. I love it. Hi, Helen.
Hi, good morning to you all, or afternoon rather, over in the US. Early here in Australia at the moment.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. And I've just watched Kathy's while I've been waiting. And like Kathy, filming doesn't always go to plan. You'll find in my video that my camera dropped during filming, but unfortunately, I didn't find that until I was doing the editing uh, too much later to be able to fix it. So I apologise ahead. You will be able to see everything on the pattern anyway, what you have to do, and you'll see the end result. So it's all good in the end.
Absolutely. Well, I am very, very excited about your class as well. I think people are going to absolutely love it. So, this is an Angel Wings Christmas. So, we are going to go ahead and have you enjoy this video. You'll be able to watch this for 48 hours. And if you decide that this is one that you have to have, then you'll want to purchase that on our So Study University. We'll be posting a link for that for you shortly. So, you can take advantage of that as well as you're watching along today. So again, we're introducing our brand new Angel Wing templates, and this is a 5-piece template set. So what you're getting with that is 5 different templates. Really, I guess we call them templates, but there's one main wing, and then you get 4 inserts or key gates, whatever you want to call those. We call them, they're little angels, aren't they, guys?
Yes,
You
there
get
ain't.
you get 4 angels with that. So um, we'll go ahead and post another link to learn a little bit more about the angels. And people are commenting on your gorgeous tree in the background there, Helen. So looks like
Oh,
you're
yeah,
already.
my daughter.
Yeah, I love it.
My daughter does all that.
You know, one of the things that I love when we get to bring on our friends from Australia is just understanding that you're on the other side of the equator. So you're enjoying beautiful summer right now,
Yes,
and
it's
you get
very
to,
hot.
it's very hot there, yes. And we're all bundled up talking about snow and freezing toes and everything else. So
And I'm going swimming every day in the pool. So,
exactly. Oh, I love that. That sounds wonderful. Maybe we need to all come visit you right now.
oh, yes, that'd
Uh,
be great.
all right. Well, then I will head over to your class. If there's any questions that come up, we'll pause and we'll
Yep.
make sure to ask those questions directly to you. But let's jump in.
Hello
Okay.
everybody and welcome to my latest project. Today we're going to be featuring a new set of templates in time for Christmas called Inner Corner Angel Wings. Now it comprises of this big set of wings, and then we have 4 little body parts. Each of them have various holes in them, and they change the look and the way this wings stitches out. So I'm going to call them number 1, 2, 3 and 4. 4 you'll see is basically just the head. Now we're going to slot that in to the template like this, and as you can see there are lots of variations of holes on this template to use. We're not going to use them all, but we'll use some of them and I'll step you through it. So this table runner comprises of 3 main blocks. 2 of them have 16 crosshairs and the third one has just 8 crosshairs. And then we also have these 2 red strips that will have a design using the same templates as well. Now you'll see that from the width here, this is much wider. I've allowed this so that we have plenty of room to support the template because it is a large template. And then after we've done all our stitching and we're doing template as well, we'll then trim it back on either side before we put the binding on. So what I've done is I've pieced this top and I have then ironed the seams towards the red. I've then affixed some Sew Steady template fuse on the back of it. I have also got my backing, my batting, and then I have layered my reveal fabric for the template. Now I'm just going to put a couple of dabs of spray around the edges here because the 505 spray I find reacts terribly with the fuse, any fuse that you use. It melts it and makes it a very tacky glue. So once I've got that secured down, we'll take it over to the machine. We're also going to use the thumbtack that comes with the templates, and we'll use that in the middle of each of our designs. And I'll show you how to use that using the Gorilla tape or any other tape on the surface rather than putting your pin through the back. Okay, so here we are at the machine. Got the 16 crosshairs on this centre block, and we're going to use the wings plus the little number 4, which is basically just the head. We're going to use the thumbtack, but we're placing the thumbtack underneath. And the reason we're placing it underneath on this block is that when we stitch this one, we're going to come right into this very V. Now, if I was to use the thumbtack on the top with some tape, I would have to stitch through that tape repeatedly. Yes, if you do that, you can still tear it away through your stitching, but you could damage your stitching. So because I know it's going to come all the way in here, I've opted to put the thumbtack in from the underneath right in the center of my crosshairs. Actually, I might just move that over a tiny little bit. Sometimes it comes down to as much as a bit of a thread in the difference. Alright, so as I said, we're going to use this pinhole right at the edge, and it has a number 5 on this particular one. I've brought my bobbin thread up. I'm using Glide Cleopatra, which is a lovely gold, very Christmassy in my opinion. So I'm going to follow the template from the edge of the crosshair. So we've got our crosshair of the ruler lined up with the diagonal. So we're coming from the vertical, which I'm calling number 1, and then we're going to stitch down to the following side. And then back out, following the curve. Until we get to that crosshair over there. Now I'm going to turn this so that you can follow along. We're just going to swivel the template around, rotate it. Crosshairs line up beautifully once again. Into the center and then back out again. And we're going to stop once we hit the crosshair. I'll rotate again. Oh. I'm just going to quickly sew these tails in so they're out of the way. I use the Clover self-threading needle with the side slot.
Now after we've come back around to our starting point, we will have to cut our threads and then sew them in, and then we'll change our little angel and do the next part of it. So just a moment. Okay, so we've sewn those in. Our next step, we're using the wings and we're using the number 3 angel. So it's just the next size up, and then we're going to use the hole at the very top of the head. So this is all in the instructions. Now we're going to line our crosshairs up on the vertical, or this one is on the vertical, and we're going to start up here and we're going to stitch down and across here and then back up to this one on the other diagonal. And we'll continue our way around all of the crosshairs doing just that. Now you'll see I've put a little bit of stable tape on the back of my wings. You don't need to have it on there, but I just thought it might keep it a little bit more stable. I'm going to rotate this again. Rotate the template and we'll line these crosshairs up once again. We'll stop once more, rotate, and once more, and we'll be back at the beginning. So I might just sew those tails in to keep them out of the way. I like to sew my tails as I go. It helps keep everything nice and tidy. That way you're not risking stitching over your threads when you go on to the next part of the design. Alright, so we've reached back to the beginning. So I'm going to cut those threads and then we'll go on to do the next layer. Okay, so I've sewn in those threads. We're using the wings once again, and this time we're going to use number 2 of the angel. It's got 3 holes in it as well. We're using the hole at the top of the head for our thumbtack. And this time we're going to sew from this crosshair down and across here and then up to this crosshair. So the actual markings here on the ruler won't apply for this particular hole. So the only marking you can actually use is this diagonal crosshair lined up, and it will be lining up. It will come to this joint right here, the intersection right here. And you'll see on this end that where it lines up very nicely. So we're going to start at this crosshair, come down and around, and then back up to this crosshair here. There are so many options with these templates, with the number of holes, just to alter your design, or even just to do part of this overall design that I'm doing. I'm adding several layers to it, but you could do any of them as they stand on their own and they'd look great. So the main thing you need to remember is that you're sewing from one crosshair to another crosshair. I'm not going to rotate this one fully because I can simply just stitch straight down here. Rotate that all the way around, and we're lining up these center holes here with our crosshair in the middle. Just turn that. I'm just going to sew these tails in. All right, pop that back in place. That's about right. Okay, so we're back. Right, so just move that slightly. So now you can see we've got a group of 3 and then we've got a space, a group of 3, a space. So we're going to fill in those spaces on our next rotation. So we will start, for instance, up here and come down, and what that will actually do, it will join up this bit of a circle into one big circle, and it will fill in those other ones. So once again, I'm going to sew in my threads and then we'll start again. Okay, so I've starting again on this crosshair, lining up this center row of dots, pinholes with my crosshair. I'm stopping on the next one. Rotate. Now for my crosshair markings, I have used the Clover Chaco chalk marker, but with iron off pounce powder. And one thing you need to remember is to not iron any of this until we have done our clipping to reveal our reveal fabric. And one last one. Okay, so we're back at the beginning here. We'll cut these threads, and I've decided that that's it for the stitching for this particular block. So we'll move on to the next one. Not sure yet which areas we're going to trim away, but we'll leave all the trimming until the end and decide as we go. Okay, on to the second block. So this one we're using the wings, and we're using the number 2 angel. So it's got the 3 pinholes, and we're going to use the bottom hole closest to the skirt of the angel. Now 16 crosshairs. I've used the thumbtack, but with the tape this time, and using the Janet's all-in-one tool to help line that up with the crosshairs. Works really well. Now, as I said, we'll put it on the bottom pinhole, and we're just going to have this sitting this way with the crosshair of the ruler, the corner, pointing straight down, and this one here in the middle pointing straight up. So that means we're going to be quilting from number 14 across to number 4. So we're going this whole distance across until we reach this crosshair. Hold on to my threads. Now you don't have to go sideways across like I am. You can have it stitching more towards yourself. Okay, so we're there on the crosshair. Now we're rotating it all the way around. So it's quite a big rotation. And we're going to quilt down to number 10. So this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the crosshair here in the center will line up directly with that corner one. And stop on that crosshair. So what we're actually getting with this particular design, we're stitching it out in, it's going to overlap as we keep going around, working our way through it all. I'll just sew these threads in. That way they're out of the way. Right, so we're lining up this crosshair right through here. One more. Okay, so this one, when we rotate, just keep rotating until the ruler hits your ruler foot, and then we'll line up the crosshair. Rotate again. just keep going until eventually we will get back to where we started. Oh, popped off. Okay, line that up again. It should pretty much line up every time. So I've decided to call this block Sunflower with all its various petals. And this is it for the last one. We're back to where we started. Okay. And what we'll do, I think you can, just trying to make it so that you can see it properly. I'm going to draw up my threads and sew those in, and then we're going to put a border around the outside of this one. Okay, so for the next step on this, we're putting a bit of a border around the outside. We're using the same number 2 angel with the wings. This time we're going to use the thumbtack hole, 3rd in from the corner. And we're going to stitch from this corner across to this corner, and then down to this one, and across the bottom and up here. So it's only going to be a 4-sided border to this. With the hole, it actually lines up with the markings on the ruler for all of your crosshairs. So we're just going to stitch sideways. About there. Sometimes when you stitch past the little angel bit in the middle, you might need to just hold it in place a little bit. Alright, so once again, all of our crosshairs will line up beautifully. I'm just going to rotate this. Alright, that lines up very nicely. And the last one. Okay, so we're back there to the beginning. So I'm going to sew in the threads, and that is that block completed. I'll include a photo of that for you so you can see what it actually all looks like. And then we'll go on to the third block. Okay, so for the third block, we're going to use the wings, and we're using the number 1 angel, which is the largest one. And we're going to put the thumbtack from number 5 hole, which is just below the neckline here. We're going to have 8 crosshairs. I've drawn up my thread, so we're here on this diagonal. We're going to stitch across and then up to this one. It'll only give a tiny little corner bit on these, and it's going to be a 4-sided design, and then we're going to stagger the design as we come out by moving to a different hole each time. So we're just going to go sideways and then across, and then up just until the needle reaches the crosshair. So as I said, it's not very far. Then we're going to, oh no, my tape has moved. I'll just get a new piece. So these bits of tape can be reused a number of times, but it will eventually lose its stickiness. Alright, so there's a new one, and hopefully it's in the right spot. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so lining up the crosshairs, and as once again we'll come in and then across and down to the next one. I'm just going to rotate that. Okay, line up the crosshairs again.
All right, I'm going to pause it for a second because we had a good question come in, and I thought, well, this would be a great time to share this, considering that we've got a little bit of up close and personal on Helen's video right now. So what I wanted to share with everyone is that there is an awesome pattern that comes with this class, and this is the again, the Angel Wings Christmas class by Helen Sullivan. So let me go ahead and share with you that pattern at this time. So we're a little sideways view here. I was going to see if I could change the view, but this is just the cover anyway. So as we scroll in, you can see that there's a printed, an opportunity to print this out and have a folded pattern with this class. She's got all the cutting instructions for that, right, built into it. So a lot of great detail built into this, as well as for assembly, and then of course for the quilting instructions. So she's done an awesome job with that. And you can see all of the quilting instructions kind of showing you how to create those multiple designs, built right into this handout. So this is going to be a great one to get to give you a lot of extra opportunity for instruction for this project. And of course, here's her final designs there as well. So yes, on top of the video that you're seeing right now, you're going to get this printed or printable handout in pattern that goes with this class. I don't see any other questions, so I'll hop back over.
And back to the starting point. So we've got a nice circle with these 4 little points on it. So the next time I'm going to sew in the threads, and then we're going to move out to hole number 7, I think, and we'll go from there. Okay, so next round we're using the same template, same angel, number 1, and we're using hole number 3. So I had that wrong. And once again, we're going to just echo what we've already done, stopping on those diagonal crosshairs. Straighten that out a bit. Alright, rotate, and once again the crosshairs will line up. Rotate again. Right, last one. Okay, so back at the beginning, and as you can see we've got a nice little 4-sided circle almost, and we're going to keep echoing it another 2 times. Okay, so third round, same templates once again, but we're going from the very top hole here, so hole number 1 in the head of the angel. Rotate. Rotate again. Just check your crosshairs that they're lining up. Okay, so we're back at the beginning there. So sewing the threads once again, and then I'll position for the last round. Okay, last round. Same template, same angel, but this time it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, hole number 5, so it's the very next one past the head here in the corner. Now you could go on, and if your block was bigger, and echo this even more, but we're going to stop after this one just so that they all fit and are reasonably close to the same size. Now these designs, the three of them that we've got here, range from over 9 inches up to almost 10 inches. Okay, we're back to the corner. So now I'm going to sew in those threads, and then the last thing we're going to do is the 2 red strips. Okay, so for the red strips, we're going to use the template, the wings with angel number 1, and we're using the very last hole at the bottom of the skirt there. I have drawn a centre line down the middle of my red strip, and then where the crosshair came across between the 2 blocks, I've continued it right through to find the middle point. Now we're just going to simply stitch down around and keep down to the end, and then stitch back again once we've rotated the template. Then we're going to echo that from the next hole. Now this is a great way just to fill something in on a strip. It's just the 3 segments. So just make sure you've got the crosshair line that runs through all the pinholes lined up. Alright, so we're down to the other side. Rotate the template around. Line these up with our drawn line. And back to where we started. So I'm going to sew in those threads. So sorry that the camera has slipped again. As I said, I'm going to sew in those threads, and then we'll come back and echo. Okay, stitching the echo of this design. Once again, I've put my needle in, brought my thread up right up here on the line. I've lined this up. You'll have to be careful when you do start up here. You're right at the edge of the template. Line up that, and we'll stitch down the side. So we're in the second last hole on the angel. Stitch all the way to the end until you hit your drawn line. Rotate your template, and we're right up the end again. Line up your crosshairs. So we've reached back to our starting point. So that's all of our quilting. So now I'm going to sew in these threads, and then we'll sit and look at each of the designs and work out where we're going to snip our threads. Okay, with our sunflower design, we can probably snip a few different areas. So we could either leave the middle or snip that away to reveal our underneath fabric, or we can simply do all of our petals. Or the other option is if we do this one and then the outer corners and just leave, we could even snip these little pieces in here. So I think what we might do is take away this bit, and then we'll do the outer corners. So I go through and I just do a little bit of a colouring in so that I know what I'm going to cut away. And then when we move on to this one here, I'm going to cut away the centre on each of these. Next design, this one's a tough one. I'm not sure on this one. I think we might cut away these bits here, and then we could even cut away these bits, and then the outer part of the petals on all of them. So it's entirely up to you. That gives us a bit of a break, I think, between having some green reveal, the green reveal, and then the outer green block. We'll do the same with this one. We'll do the centres, and with this one I think we'll cut away the middle, skip one, and then we'll cut away this one here in between. So I'm going to get started with that. So when I'm doing template, I make a little bit of a nick in the top layer. Now when you're doing all your spray basting and setting all this up, make sure you use some basting spray on your reveal fabric when you attach it to your batting. By using the spray, it really sticks it down out of the way. Then because you've got the fusible on your top layer of fabric, that will make it just that little bit thicker. So when you go to lift that, your bottom one should stick down, but your top one is slightly thicker and it's separated from that next layer. So it makes it easier to get your unpicker in there to make a little slot. Now you can use duckbill scissors, or I have these little Karen K Buckley ones which have the nice rubberized finger holds, which make it easier to hold onto your scissors. So I go through and I make snips, and then I work my way around, and as you can see we've got our reveal fabric under there. So I'm going to sit here now and keep busy by cutting all these reveal fabrics away, and then I will iron it. Don't iron until you have cut all your fabric. Then once you're happy with what you've done, iron it all, and that will seal all your raw edges. And then we're going to trim up our table runner and add the binding.
Okay, here we are with the finished table runner. As you can see, I've put my binding on. I used 3 strips of this darker green. I have done all my trimming with my template quilting. So we did mark where we would trim. I have used the unpicker and my duckbill scissors, have trimmed it all, and I have since ironed it. Now by ironing it, I have sealed all my raw edges. As you can see, we've got this design. We've got our 2 red strips, the middle one, and then lastly with this one here, you'll notice that I have an extra round, an extra echo. So when I quilted it at the machine, I had 4 echoes, 1, 2, 3 and 4. When it was time to trim, I decided a 5th echo was needed to then break up where this green was. Otherwise we would have had green and green and green. So I just thought, no, I'll put an extra one in. So I've written that into the pattern. So that is it for the table runner. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. Happy to help if I can. These templates, great to use. The angel wing, so many more possibilities. I've only shown you a little bit of what you can do So I'd love to see anything that you come up with. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Helen, for bringing that amazing class to everyone today. I am showing that class on the screen right now. This is the class on the So Study University. This is available to purchase. It's just a $15 class. And I will tell you, I think that this is well worth the purchase. So you're going to get the pattern with that, as well as that video that we just watched to help you create this in your home sewing room. So that is going to be an option for you to be able to get with the purchase of your new Angel Wings template by Westalee Design. Gosh, Helen, I feel like we've been working on this Angel Wings template for quite some time. Do you remember when you first started trying to create some amazing designs with this?
Yes, I look back at my photos from when I first played with it, and it was actually December last year. So
Yeah.
I've had it for a year, and I just needed prompting to get my act together and actually make a project, which I've
Yeah.
now done. And I've been doing lots more playing with them, and I'll put a couple of just some pictures up in the files later so that people can look to see that there's other ideas as well.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. There were some questions that came in, and I wanted to go ahead and see if you had any options for them. I know that the one thing that we saw early, that you and I both responded to was, I don't understand the side holes, would love to see them in use. And, one of the things that we've seen is, or thought of here about the side holes, is that that could be an awesome way to be able to really move across your entire project with one template and do it kind of in a consecutive, whether you're building it up a row, or you're wanting to go across the whole thing, and being able to kind of spin it in new ways. Any additional thoughts on the side holes?
Yeah, I've done a few practice designs with them. Yes, you can sort of really, it's almost like a spiral, even if you're going around the square. By moving those holes, you can off center it each time as you go around the outside, working your way into the middle. So, yes, there are options. I haven't had a chance to stitch any of them out yet, but there are so many other holes besides those outer ones that there's so many possibilities.
So many possibilities. Yeah, I think you're right, though. The M. Wagner who had asked that question, they'd love to see a class on that. And I think you're right. I think we're going to have a class on just the side holes. Because
Yep.
this,
Well, I'll get onto it and see what I can come up with.
yeah, that would be wonderful. Again, what we just presented was the final class for the Angel Wings that we wanted to show today, and that's by Helen Sullivan. It comes with I think it was like a 5 or 6 page pattern, with amazing instruction, in it on both the assembly and the quilting designs. And then it also comes with obviously the video just that we just watched. So I posted a link to that so you can check that out. And then, of course, we have the opportunity for you to purchase the templates themselves. And those templates you can buy on our So Study website. If you choose to pick them up in any of the resellers near you that are available for Web Direct, then you can do that and get free shipping. If you're here in the United States, I'm sorry, we don't have that option international at this time. But that is something that you can take advantage of, and then that'll help on the shipping costs. This weekend alone, if you do that, then you're going to also get that bonus class that we showed earlier by Kathy Clawson, where she shows how to create that awesome block design with it. So you're going to get some extra education with the purchase of the template. So just for $35, you're going to get the 3-piece Angel Wings template set. We did measure the Angel Wings, and wow, that wingspan, you have the opportunity to make a wingspan of the Angel Wings up to 10.5 inches. So that's, can really get you across a big block in a hurry. But, because of the way that that template's designed, you don't have to. you could actually just, kind of stop at one of the designated lines on the template itself and, have a smaller wingspan, if you will. So there's just so much possibility as far as what you can do with that one template, and of course the four key gates that come with it. So again, we just love being able to share with you all of these amazing projects and classes and new template designs, and we couldn't do it without our amazing educators. So Helen, thank you so much for sharing your project today. And if you enjoyed it, then I highly encourage you all to go out and purchase that class on the university. You will not be disappointed. I think that'll be a great one for holidays if you can have time to squeeze in one more table runner. If not, you can work on that for your next year's decor. Any other things that you want to add to this class today?
No, just I once again apologise for the video, the camera slipping. I'll put a bolt through it or something so it won't happen again. But thank you everyone for joining
Oh.
me, and I hope you enjoy the templates.
Thank you all very much for joining us today and allowing us to introduce this awesome new set today with you. We do have one more set that we're going to launch before the end of the year. We're going to be sharing with you a diamonds set, and that is a template set that Kathy Clawson has been playing with. So she's going to be doing that on our template tasting Friday next week. So just one more, and it's all about diamonds. And then we'll let you enjoy the rest of your year without any new templates. And we'll have lots of fun education for you next year. But there will be one more set before the end of the year. This is our year of just introducing all kinds of amazing designs for you guys. So I hope you've enjoyed it. If you haven't had a chance to get them all, then we're going to do some opportunities for being able to get refreshers on them this next year. So, but we've enjoyed being able to do so many awesome new sets and new designs for everyone this year. So we appreciate you joining us for all of those launches and classes, and we'll look forward to sharing more in the new year with you as well. So I think that's all for today. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. And Helen, I think your weekend's already begun. I believe it's early
Yes,
on Saturday morning for you in
yes,
Australia.
it is to go out and do some fencing on the farm.
Okay, there you go. Well, have a wonderful day there on the farm, and we'll look
Yep.
forward to seeing everybody. Again, Donell will be live for you tomorrow on her live at 5, which is 5 p.m. Eastern. So if you can join tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific, we'll love to have you join in. She's going to be doing some stuff with our Embroidered collection, and she said she might even pull out this angel wings template again. So have a wonderful weekend, everyone, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.